It was a wonderful opportunity to see God active in a number of different ways. For me, the worship was probably the most dramatic way. Especially the use of a lot of indigenous music and musicians. And it was a remarkable opportunity to sing and to hear voices and to hear remarkable worship music and to be gathered with, 1,000 people in a worship space. That's a unique and very specific and delightful way for me to hear and feel and sense the Spirit of God among us.
This was my fourth trip to Churchwide. I went in 2011 as a voting member, and I went this year as a voting member. And then twice I also went as a volunteer. So one of the things I really like to do is during a meal, sit down at a table with maybe one person there or at an empty table and just let it fill up on its own. Get to know these folks, because we're all strangers, and what's wonderful about doing that is you get to meet people from all over the United States, which is interesting. And at one of those meals, there was the table. I sat down next to one person, and the table got filled up, and it was two folks were from Michigan, and the rest of them were from the Midwest. What a wonderful conversation we had. I saw God smiling in every one of those faces, just talking about our lives and where God has taken us and where God is taking us. It's just something I really like to do, sitting with strangers.
God was at work throughout the whole event. But for me, the most palpable sense where I truly felt God's work was when we were electing a vice president. One of the cool things that you get to see with an ecclesiastical ballot, which we'll actually get to experience in Virginia next year. But one of the cool things when you experience an ecclesiastical ballot is you have all of these names that have been brought forward that could serve. And then as soon as they start speaking, you start to see the Spirit move. And when our new Vice President, Imran Siddiqui, was up to speak for his first time, I felt that Spirit move. When he spoke about his experience as a Muslim and then converting to Lutheranism 11 years ago, and now he's been elected Vice President of the ELCA, the highest ranking lay person in our church. He spoke about consensus. He spoke about leading by consensus and working together for the spirit of the church, listening to the Spirit. You felt the assembly, you felt us lean in towards him. And it was really a beautiful thing to see. I'm very grateful to have gone and to have seen the Spirit at work through our church.
Here in Virginia, I think, and even especially at my congregation, you kind of get used to the people you see every day. And, they have very similar experiences to you. So while I was at Churchwide, I think I was really exposed, probably for the first time, to just how large and how diverse the ELCA is, because, there were people there from all over the country, and sitting with almost 1,000 delegates and visitors and things from all 68 of the church's synods really exposed me to different thoughts and different ways of viewing the church and participating in the church and being part of the Lutheran faith in America. I was able to just through all of these connections, even among the people from the Virginia Synod who I had never met before, to get a better understanding of the way church works in Southwest Virginia and the eastern part of Virginia versus where I live in the Shenandoah Valley. I think really there were like 1,000 different voices of God at one time, plus the official churchwide assembly and worship and things that were really speaking to all of us and helping us understand, how the church can really reach people and how the church makes a difference in everyday people's lives. And especially as we're like preparing for this idea of reaching 1 million people in engagement and things, I think the diversity that the ELCA has to offer, and the fact that all of these people are part of what we're trying to do moving forward, is going to be really helpful to us. And I think was really important for me, as I felt God like talking to me and working through me as we like built these connections and better understandings of the whole church, the whole ELCA here in America.
The theme of the assembly was embody Christ, and I think it's a perfect word to say this is the biggest challenge for the church and pastors and lay people in the church, to make Christ visible in everything that we do, all the decisions that we make, even if it involves suffering or loving to the point when it requires sacrifice. When I think about where God and the Holy Spirit is leading us as a church, it's easy to maybe get focused on the wrong things. For example, numbers. When the ELCA started out, it started over 7 million, and we are down to 3 million people, a little over 3 million. To me, especially coming from a country where Lutheranism is very much a minority, my understanding is that what we need to see is if we are following Christ in words, in the way we speak, in the way we do things, the direction as we take as a church, even if it's unpopular or really difficult to take. And for that reason, this Synod Assembly was really hope-giving to me. It's not easy to represent Christ in the world. I wouldn't want to be Bishop Eaton delivering a hard words of apology or calling us together when we have disagreements. But I also believe that the leaders that I saw and the people who were representatives who were sitting around the table in each synod were there with the same spirit of hope, of doing what is right, no matter how hard it might be, and the ability to listen even in disagreements was very much present, which is missing from the world these days. Do I want to be in a church that does this work? Yes.